So now next concept is component testing. So already we have learned about unit testing. So this is the second concept that is under types of testing, component testing. Okay, so component testing, uh, uh, see here, first of all we need to understand what do you mean by components. Software components are often composite components that are made up of several interacting objects. Okay, so components are, so that is in yes, so combining different components together, okay, which interact with each other. Okay, so that is what it is. Okay, software components are often composite components that are made up of several interacting objects. So you access the functionality of these objects through the defined component interface. Okay, so basically this is also known as interface testing. Okay, so what do you mean by interface testing is, so we will be, so unit testing previously we have learned is, what we have learned in that is, we will be testing individual program, okay, or a small, that is a small piece of function, or right, or testing a part of, a small part of a code like arrays and all those stuffs, right? So now components here, that is, which is also known as interface testing, as I've said. So interface testing means here we will be testing few different components will be taking, or few different modules, right? Like here there are some modules. Okay, so this is one unit, this is another unit. You can see like how what I have explained about unit testing. Okay, so this is one particular unit, like function. Okay, so we are testing this particular function, like in calculator, if you have add function. Okay, add function like that, right? So this is one like single unit, right? Now, so like this various modules or components will be there, right? So we will be, so combining all these modules or components together, we will be testing how it interacts well. Okay, how it interacts with each other better. Okay, so that is all about this thing, guys. Okay, so component testing, also known as interface testing. Okay, so this you have to understand. So we are just building a few components, few individual components, or few individual units together, and we are testing the interactions between those components. Okay, so that is all about this thing, right? So testing composite components should therefore focus on showing the component interface behaves according to its specification. Okay, you can assume that unit tests on the individual objects within the components have been completed. Okay, so now, so as I have told that component testing is also known as interface testing. Here there is one small diagram to make you understand. So first of all we will be so before yeah so before we conduct any test. Okay, that is before we conduct this interface testing, we will be preparing a test cases. Okay, so without preparing test cases, you cannot go for you cannot conduct this or perform this type of testing. Okay, right? So as you all know that before you do any coding, you need to prepare test cases. I have already explained in another video there. Okay, that is in that is in test driven development process. I have explained in that, right? So before you implement, and also before you perform any type of testing, you need to prepare test cases. So this is what they have given. So test cases, you will be preparing test cases and they want some sort of condition. Okay, in which you will be giving what you in which you will be giving what different inputs. Okay, so these small boxes here you can see, okay, are nothing but different inputs there. Okay, so based on the different inputs here, right, you will be testing it. Okay, right? So that is what you will be preparing a test case here. You will be preparing a test case, okay, based on the different inputs here. Okay, and then here there are, see, ABC are some components. Okay, so there can be multiple components, they can be more than these three components. Okay, but for example here, so here, so there are some few components here. okay, or modules also, you can say, you can call them as. Okay, so what we will be doing, so based on the different inputs, okay, these lines are nothing but the data that is being processed, okay, or the input that is given to between the components, okay, and we are testing, okay, whether they are interacting properly or not. So that is what interface testing is, okay, that is which is nothing but component, which is also known as component testing, okay, which is actually component testing, another name is interface testing. Okay, so we are just we define what the interfaces between the components, okay, and we test whether they're interacting properly or not. Okay, so that is what it is. Now coming to the interface testing. Now based on this interface testing, we have types of interfaces between the components. Okay, so now, so what are the first of all, what is the main objective here, main aim or objective here? To detect faults due to the interface errors, okay, or invalid assumptions about interfaces, right? So basically here we try to detect faults here, obviously. So what is the objective of conducting such type of interface testing? Obviously to detect faults, okay, which are actually called as interface errors. Okay, that is interface error, guys, that is which we this type actually interface testing is done on the interface part. Okay, so this you have to understand, right? So not in the coding part but on the interface, because the name itself suggests that says that interface testing. Okay, so we are testing on the interface part. So this type of testing will be done by developers, obviously, okay, because component testing comes under which classification? Development testing classification. Okay, that is if you remember, I have just in one short video, I have explained about the classification of software testing. Okay, in that we have seen what first one, development testing, right? Release testing and user testing, right? In development testing, what are the types of testing we have seen? Unit testing, right? Unit testing, and then what are those component testing and system testing, right? Yes, so this comes under what, which type of classification of software testing, that is development testing. Okay, now coming back to this types of interfaces between the components, we have our first one, parameter interfaces. Okay, so parameter interfaces, that is data passed from one method to one method or procedure to another. Okay, from one method to another method, or one procedure to another procedure. Okay, so that is a type of testing here, that is or you can also see parameter that is passing from one function to another function, right? So if you have that is if you are implementing the software application with the help of C program, right? So calling sorry that is parameters, how parameters are passed from one function to another function, and as such. Okay, shared memory interfaces, the blocks of memory shared will be shared between the procedures or functions. Okay, and then next type of interfaces, procedural interfaces. Procedural interfaces are systems encapsulates a set of procedures, okay, to be called by other subsystems, right? So systems that will be called by other subsystems which encapsulates this set of procedures. Message passing interfaces, subsystems, okay, systems which request service from another subsystem. Okay, so that is message passing interfaces. Now coming to the interface errors, as we can as we can experience such uh, did we as we can detect faults when we are performing interface testing, right? So obviously we come across some few interface errors here, okay, that we need to understand. That interface misuse, so what do you mean by this? Interface misuses a calling component calls another component and makes an error in its use of its interface. Okay, so here what do you mean by this is, example they have given parameters in the wrong order. Okay, so as you all know, as I have said now, so if you are implementing a software application with the help of C programming, okay, C language, right? So so parameters, we will be passing parameters. Okay, any example we can take, if you are passing a if you are passing a parameter from one function to another, that parameter like parameters like a, b, c if you are passing. Okay, so that order has to be same. Okay, even if you are using it in the user sorry, in the calling function also, if you are mentioning these parameters, okay, if you're giving these parameters, then there also the order has to be same. Okay, so if you're here, if one in one place, if you're giving like just two parameters, and in the calling function if you're giving just one, if you're passing just one parameter, then obviously it will not match, right? It will mismatch. So such type of things has to be avoided. Okay, such type of mistake has to be avoided. Next is interface misunderstanding. Because a calling component embeds assumptions about the behavior of the called component which are incorrect. Okay, so what do you mean by this is, so we need to avoid some some sort of assumptions about the components, okay, which may in which the behavior will not it will not give you the proper behavior accordingly, correspondingly. Okay, so that is what interface misunderstanding is. And then we have what another type of error is timing error. Okay, so what do you mean by timing error here? So timing error, that is there has to be some sort of synchronization when you're working with the components here. Okay, that is in interface testing, when we are working with the components here, that is with the set of components, right? So there has to be some synchronization. Okay, timing synchronization has to be maintained properly between the different various different components. Okay, so that is what it means. Okay, so that was all about component testing. Okay, so if they ask in exam, you can just explain about component testing, and with the help of this diagram, it's better to explain with the diagram. Okay, sometimes. And then if they ask along with the types of interfaces, then you can just explain this much. Okay, and then if they ask about this interface errors, you can explain this, or you can skip. Okay, if they ask component testing and types of interfaces, just explain that much. Okay, how much they have, whatever they're asking. Okay, you can skip this if they have not asked this in the same question, suppose. Okay, so if they ask, sometimes no, they might ask particularly to explain interface errors, then you have to explain these three types of error interface errors. Okay, so that's all, guys.